Hey everyone, today I want to show you how to make a liquid reveal type shot without any simulation in Cinema4D, and I can show how we render this. I put this together pretty quickly, so I mean you can definitely make it look better than this with the lighting and cameras, but the effect is the main thing that I want to cover. You can see as it's rising out of the fluid, it is affecting the surface like how it might if this was a thick cream or something. And that's, what we're going to do. So you can see this in the render view, and this is the setup file, which will be available on my Patreon, but we're going to go over everything in the tutorial anyways. So you can see here we have the bottle rising out of a plane and having a nice kind of wobbly after effect. So how we're going to do this is using the displacer and the jiggle deformer and vertex maps. So essentially what we need is a plane with a decent amount of subdivisions to begin with, and then the asset that I used was a this bottle conditioner here, and you can use any of these things. This seems like a shot that would primarily be used for beauty, personal care products, so that's why I picked this one. Oops, let's turn that off. And let's scale this up a little bit. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is connect and delete the objects, because I just want this as one piece of geometry. And the next thing that I'm going to do is on the plane, create a vertex map and drag in our conditioner bottle. So if we move our conditioner bottle, you can see we're having an effect here on the plane itself. So if we go into the vertex map and click on the object, we can choose the mode that it's reading it in as, which is points. So it's using the points of the object to create this vertex map, and then a radius around those points to smooth it out, essentially. And you can use the surface as well, so it's more complete along the surface, the volume, or the curvature, which I don't think that we would use for this one. I think, I don't think we'll use that one. We could either use points or surface. So surface might work. We'll try it out, and if it doesn't, we can use points. So the next thing we need to do is have this vertex map actually do something to the plane. So we're going to use a displacer for the basis of this effect. So in shading, we're going to click shader, and then effects under you'll go shader, effects, vertex map, and then we need to drag in our vertex map here. Let's rename this as displace in case we use any other vertex maps. It's bad to have them have the same name, and it comes in as a vertex map by default, even if you make multiple vertex maps. So that's just something to keep in mind. And you can see it is displacing the whole thing, which is not what we want. We have our displacement vertex map in there, but for some reason, it's like, okay, it's not working. What's going on? in our vertex map, let's click off use deformed points is the kind of key piece there. So we can see this radius we can change to sort of affect how smooth the transition is. And then let's move our bottle down. We can see, okay, now we're kind of getting the basis of something here. In our displacer, we could adjust the amount of displacement or the type as well. So as we move our bottle through, it has maybe less of a pronounced effect, which might be what we're after here. So I think for this, I'm going to use the intensity mode. And we will next refine it a little bit. So let's give our plane a couple more subdivisions first. Just, whoops. And then maybe we can remap the vertex map that's driving the displacement. So in our example, we have two. We have a regular vertex map and then a smoothed out version of that vertex map. So we have a couple other operations that we've done in here. So we'll do that in this other one. So the first thing we have is a remap, just to change the way that the object is coming out of the fluid. So now as it comes out, there's a little bit of a wave to it. And that was just by using the remap tool and the contour curve mode. We can get, a nice little, and you can, play with other elements of this, but this is this is the basic setup that I went with. And then, okay, let's just animate this real quick so that we can stop pressing it, essentially. Okay, and then we also want a slight rotation, so let's set that at the end. This keyframe could be, this looks kind of cool, we could do this, or we can just bring it down to something less and lower that so it's not affecting it at all, and then let's see what we get. Okay, let's have this turn even more. Okay, so you can see the basis of what we're going after. And then we need to do another couple operations in here. The first one is going to be decay. So this is just going to make the vertex map displacement last longer where it intersects. So you can see the values slowly going back from 1 to 0. And then a delay will add some initial spring back to the motion. So this, you can see it's getting clamped at a certain value. If we turn off this clamp right here, it will stop doing that, and we won't hit those nasty hard edges, which is, I think that's a important piece to be aware of. And so, you can already see, we're getting some really nice wavy liquidy movement. And you could stop here, you know, if you wanted, and just play with animation and some of these other parameters that we've created. Let's see what happens if we add a where the heck is it? Jiggle deformer after the displacement, right? The order of operations here is important. So the jiggle deformer now is on there. This one you have to play. You cannot scrub through the timeline until you cache it. So just remember that. You got to play it. And you can see it's adding some extra wobbliness. And if we really crank it up, you will be able to see it even more. So yeah, you can see that really really amplifies the effect. And let's turn off the work plane and make this a little bit easier to see. Yeah, so I think we have a really nice effect going there. One thing that you may need to do, I tried doing with the conditioner bottle, was making a remeshed version of it. So just throwing it in a volume builder and using that instead, so the geometry was more even. I don't know if it really made a difference, but I can imagine certain situations where that might be a useful strategy. And then the other thing that you could consider doing is adding another vertex map, bringing in the displaced vertex map we just created, and then under the layer mode, switching it to average. So we brought in our previous vertex map we just created into a new one. We selected the layer tab and went to the mode and changed it to average from nearest. And then this gives us a slider we can use to basically smooth out the vertex map, right? And then if we were to use this as our map, it would be smoother than the other one. So if you run into issues with the vertex map being jagged, you can smooth it out using this strategy, and then use the smoothed vertex map instead of the primary one. I don't think we're having any issues with sharpness. We have a decent number of subdivisions on our planes, so that's not something we're going to need to do, I don't think, in this case. But you can see we are getting some jaggedness here, but I think that's something that we're going to solve, not with a cloner, with the subdivision surface instead. And we're going to do that at render time. Obviously, this is just a preview that of what it'll look like. I always confuse the cloner and the subdivision after years and years of using Cinema4D. So, you know, what we're going to do is redshift object tag tessellation. That's how we're going to smooth it out. So for this, you know, I set up a camera using my motion camera for redshift, and I have a different video on that, and it's on my Gumroad if you want it. But let's just set up a basic camera for now with a pretty high focal length, and let's play this through so we can see where we need to land on. Okay. Great. So I mean, yeah, that's pretty much the basis of the effect, and now we can go through and add some lighting. And I added some particles just using a basic particle emitter. So we could cover that as well, but let's just set up some lights. So let's add to area lights, and under this type, you can say add target tag and null. Our other light, we are also going to add we're just going to copy this this tag over to our second light. We'll move this one off to the side, up, further off to the side. The lights usually, when I set them up, come in pretty huge, so we'll just move those off to the side. We're also probably going to want to use a dome light and grab one of the presets in here. Let's just grab this one just for some additional lighting, and let's see where that gets us to. All right. Well, it is very bright, so let's turn some things down. First things first, our dome light, and then let's turn these down. Our area lights as well, just so we can get a sense of how our scene is really being lit. Okay, so something like that is, essentially how I set it up. I made the background element not using any lighting, but I just made another plane and scaled it up to the point that we don't see it on the screen, right? So something like this. Move it down so it's not intersecting our original plane. And what we're gonna do is add some depth of field. Also, that'll help us hide the blending of those two. And then for this tutorial, I was just looking through some of the materials listed here, and that come with Redshift, and I was looking at the substance ones, and I ended up using the soft yogurt because I thought, hey, yogurt and something like conditioner, pretty similar, right? Similar enough to get the point across. And yeah, I think it works really well in this scenario. If you haven't used the substance materials that are available to you with Cinema4D and Redshift, they are super cool because they have a bunch of parameters exposed here that have come directly from Substance, and you can just customize them to whatever extent that you want. And yeah, it's, I think, a really good tool just to know about, that you have access to. Yeah, just try to match the perspective a little bit. And yeah, this is something where, refining this part would just, require you doing some look development type stuff, and adding, post-processing effects here or in your preferred compositing software. So, you can get some nice highlights on here and whatever. But yeah, the kind of point of the tutorial is to be able to make these kind of cool liquidy effects. so that we can have these nice reveals, which look really cool. Yeah, some really just nice goopiness going on here. And the last thing that I'll mention is you can limit the tessellation subdivisions that are happening outside of the scope of the camera. So I'll do that to optimize things if things are getting heavy, and you'll still get some usually you'll still get the amount of subdivision that you need within the camera, and you can also limit the max subdivisions. So just an optimization step to consider for you. That is pretty much everything for this one, and I hope you enjoy it and can get some use out of this. And the project file will be available to dissect on my Patreon. And yeah, otherwise consider joining me on Discord, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.